Let's go. Erev Tov, good evening, everyone. We are continuing learning our practical halachot in Masechah Bracha. Tonight, we're going to talk about the topic of juice. So I have over here, I have some orange juice with very pulpy, and Itai Hakimian is going to come onto the screen later drinking some watermelon juice, freshly squeezed. I think he might have drank it already. He drank our prop before shiur started. Itai, go squeeze another watermelon. You have some time. And then we're also going to talk about, similar to speaking about squeezing a fruit to make juice out of it, we're also going to be talking about like crushing the fruit, pulverizing it into, let's say, for example, mashed potatoes or peanut butter or applesauce. That's what these items are. So we're going to talk a lot about changing the form of fruit. We know the fruit is ha'etz. What happens if you change the form? What happens if you make it a fruit? What happens if you crush it, make it into something mashed? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. From a halachic standpoint, there is a lot of machloket, but we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna learn some Gemara tonight, and Be'ezrat Hashem, hopefully we'll learn some Maaseh, very practical things. Okay, let's go. Let me turn this on. Do not disturb. Share screen. Zoom. Let's go. We are up to Gemara Berachot. Daf Lamenchet Amud Aleph 38A for Vamar Mar Bar Rav Asher. If you're following along in the R scroll, I believe it's pretty much close to the top. It's probably 38A1. If you could confirm for me. Vamar Mar Bar Rav Asher. Hai Dusha de Tamre. See that? Hai Dusha de Tamre. Vamar Mar Bar Rav Asher. If you want, I could pull up the Hebrew. Yeah, it's got to be 38A1. It's the top. Yeah, the 38A1 is toward the top. I'm showing it to you on the Hebrew screen. We're going to go back to the English now. Here we go. What's up, Josh? How are you? So Mar, the son of Rav Asher, said the following rule. Okay? Hai duvsha de tamre. Date honey. So you have dates, and from it, the juice oozes out. Honey. So what's the beracha if someone is going to drink the honey of date? Not that you're eating the date. There's no more date. You're having the juice, the juice from within the date, the honey from within the date. Says Mar Bar Rav Asher, very important rule. The beracha shakol niyah b'dvaro ma'itama. Why? Ze'ah be'almahu. Ze'ah means sweat. Be'ze'ah tapecha tochal lechem. Ze'ah means sweat. So he says how you're no longer eating the fruit. When you want to eat a date, you're saying Boreh Peri Ha'etz. Ribono Shel Olam created the fruit of the tree. But this is not a fruit. It's merely the sweat of the fruit, or as they translated here, moisture exuded from the fruit rather than the fruit himself. So Mar Bar Rav Asher teaches a very important rule that if you are having a liquid that's coming out of a fruit, the bracha is shakol. Okay, Kema. Who does this go like? Which opinion is this like? We're going to see there's a machloket in the Mishnah. You need a Gemara? There's one over here. Is that an extra one? Yeah, there's an extra one. Yeah. Josh. Thank you. Okay, if you want to just bring a badge. Thank you. Okay, so good. So I want everyone to say these lines with these words with me. Ze'ah be'almahu. Ze'ah be'almahu. What does that mean? It means it's just sweat. It's just a liquid moisture that's coming out of the date. If you're going to drink juice that's coming out of a date, the bracha is shakol. Very good. Kiman, which opinion is this like? Ki hai tana. It's like the following opinion, Rabbi Yoshua, in the following Mishnah. There's a machloket. Thank you. There's a machloket and in the Mishnah about the following. We learn in the Mishnah, Devash Tamarim, if someone takes terumah. Remember we spoke about this. If Kohen has terumah and a non-Kohen eats or drinks the terumah, he has to pay the Kohen back 1 plus a quarter, which the Lashon of the Torah is 1 plus a fifth. But the fifth, the way the math is done, it really means 1.25. So if I went and I ate Mr. Aziz's food, you had a bunch of fruits, and I ate it, and it was worth $50, it made the math difficult. It was worth 40. Let's say it was $40. I now have to pay you $50 back if I eat it. But if I just damage it, If I just trample it, I only have to give you the 40. If I benefit from it, if I eat it, if I consume it, I need to give you 1.25. If I'm just destroying it without consuming and benefiting from it, I only need to give you one. So what's this rule? The rule is Dvash Tamarim, non-Kohen inadvertently eats date honey, V'yen tapuchim, or apple cider, V'chometz sivaniot, or late season grapes. It's a type of grape that they're bad grapes that what comes out of them is not wine. It's really like vinegar. So what's the case? Our Kohen, Mr. Azizi, for teruma, I got tons of dates. There's a lot of people that have dates in his area, and they just give him a bunch of dates. Then he ends up with all these dates. Like, what am I do with all the dates? Let me make some syrup. Let me make drinks out of it. So he squeezes all the dates, and then he has a bunch of dates there. And then it becomes a drink. Then I go, oh, and I pick it up and I drink it. Ushar me perot, or really any other fruit juice. Shel teruma, if it's of teruma. Rabbi Eliezer mechayev keren v'chomesh. Rabbi Eliezer requires the one who drank it to pay 1.25, which means 1.25 the value. So if I ate $100 worth, if I drink $100 worth, I need to pay him 125. Rabbi Yoshua poter. Rabbi Yoshua says, no, you don't need to pay that extra quarter. Why? Because you're not eating. What are you doing? You're drinking, but that's not the food item. So he views a juice a step removed from the food item. It's not like you're eating. In Rabbi Yeshua's view, footnote number 12, the only fruit juices that are considered like the fruit are the juices of grapes and oil of olives. Those two are special. Wine is the higher level, and olive oil is the higher level. But the juices of all other fruits, which are the subject of this Mishnah, are considered to be mere sweat. Ze'ah be'alma. Thus, a non-Kohen has not consumed the fruit itself and has not become liable to payment. I didn't eat your terumah because what did I have? I had the honey. That's not the same thing. Okay, so Rabbi Yeshua is of the opinion that once you juiced something, you've qualitatively changed it, doesn't get the same bracha, and if it's terumah, you don't need to pay the penalty of eating terumah. I ruined your terumah because now it's no longer there for you, so I need to pay you back for it. I stole your terumah, I got to pay you back for it, but I don't have to pay the penalty because I didn't eat it. Because it's not the same level of I didn't eat that fruit. So now going back to Mar Bar Avasheh, Hai Dusha de Tamreh, if someone were to have fruit juice, what's the bracha? What does he say? Very simple. If I ask you what's a bracha on a drink, this is like the easiest thing. It's the easiest softball if I want to test you on what a bracha is. What's a bracha on a drink? Other than wine and olive oil, it's all shakol. Olive oil we spoke about, it could be bar priya etz if you're having it as part of like a beet juice. Wine is bar priya giffen. Everything else is shakol niyabit varo. That's how it is. What about beer? Shakol niyabit varo. What about watermelon juice? Shakol niyabit varo. What about orange juice? Shakol niyabit varo. There is a machloket though. The machloket is, what if the purpose of the fruit is the juice? For example, Tropicana is planting tons of orange orchards for one reason and one reason only, juice. They're not selling oranges. They're selling orange juice. So what's the bracha on something that is planted with the ultimate motive of juice? Isn't that the form of the juice? So it's a machloket. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop this share and make another share. Share this. Okay. So I took some notes and I copied some notes from online. And then afterwards, I threw it into AI to make myself a handy dandy infographic. So here we go. Elliot, shalom aleichem. We're talking about orange juice. Elliot, what's the bracha on orange juice? Shakol is correct, but it's a machloket in certain situations. So let's just go ahead and see this, okay? By the way, this on top, I really love the AI. I'm not going to waste our time looking at the same thing on AI, but just look. The honey from dates, the bracha is shakol, my tama. Why? Ze'ah be'almahu. Everyone say it. Ze'ah be'almahu. It's just merely sweat. It's not the fruit. It's a moisture that's coming out of the fruit. So the general rule is that any juice, squeezed, or extracted from a fruit is treated as sweat, not the fruit itself, so the bracha is shakol, regardless of how the original fruit's bracha was. Originally, it could have been ha'adama if it was a vegetable. Itai, do you have some watermelon juice for us or no? Itai, before he had some watermelon juice, the fruit would be ha'adama, but you juice it, it's shakol. Oranges, ha'etz
So
becomes shakol, or dates. Itai, yeah or no?
already finished it. I might
Already
make
finished
more
it. Nice.
though. I'll send a picture of
What
the
bracha
chat.
did you make? What bracha did you make?
Shakol.
You made shakol. Okay, okay. You could have come late. It's fine. Okay, so now there is a machloket here, the deeper machloket. Fruits that are not, sorry, fruits that are normally juiced. This is my example of Tropicana. Tropicana fruits are normally juiced. So according to the Rashba, if the fruit is normally juiced, then the bracha is ha'etz. He gave you an example of date juice. But when was the last time you got date juice? If you think about dates, you're thinking about eating the dates, not about drinking date juice. So that's a case where it's ze'ah be'alma. But if the fruit is normally drunk as a drink, as a juice, then the Rashba would say it's ha'etz. If a fruit's normal every day, derech achila is to be juiced, the juice is not a byproduct. It's simply how the fruit is eaten. So it keeps the fruit's own bracha, whereas the Rosh would say, no matter what, the bracha is shakol. Halakha l'maaseh, what do we say? Shulchan Aruch says shakol. Why? Because it's a safek, and you're not sure. If you go by the Rashba, you would say ha'etz on orange juice. If you go by the Rosh, you say shakol. Shakol is more generic. There is one opinion of the Chazon Ish, which I put here in this box. The Chazon Ish. Chazon Ish says, but hold on a second. There's something special about orange juice. No, Chazon Ish was not Ben Ish Chai either. The Chazon Ish was the Chazon Ish. He wasn't another person. No, his name was Rabbi Karelitz, I believe. He was around at the times of the Hakamat HaMedina. What? Modern. He was around at the time of the Hakamat HaMedina, one of the leading Ashkenazi poskim, when the Medina, living in Bnei Brak, the Chazon Ish. So he was of the opinion that what's unique about, let's say, apple juice. How do you make apple juice? You take an apple and you squeeze it, and then what? What happens with the apple? You take it out. You don't ever have pulpy apple juice. But orange juice, the Chazon Ish says it's different. Because what do? You take that and you just squeeze the whole thing. And when you're done with it, if you look at the peel, there's nothing left. The entire juice with its meat has just taken on a different form. But it's the fruit. It's not any different, he says, as if I take an orange and I put it in my mouth and I squeeze. No, I just squeeze it beforehand or I squeeze it afterwards. So he wants to say that specifically with orange juice, it's borei pri ha'etz. Right? So here, siding with the Rashba, the Chazon Ish argues that an orange counts as a fruit normally juiced. Unlike a hard fruit, where squeezing pulls out only the portion while the flesh stays behind, the entire orange is pressed into the cup. Nothing is left. Okay? So according to this, it would be ha'etz, whereas according to the Rosh, where it says it's not a matter of what the intent of the fruit is, it would be shakol. So what do? This is the funniest, not the funniest thing, but Rav Chaim Kanievsky, who was his nephew, writes in several places testifying that he himself has seen the Chazon Ish saying shakol on orange juice. He gave testimony that even though the Chazon Ish, in theory, holds that it's ha'etz, he himself, with a cup of orange juice, would say shakol. Why? Safek Berachot lakel. You're not sure which one to say. At the end of the day, it's a safek. So he might say, I believe it's this, but it's a safek. So he's going to say shakol. What? Maybe he didn't like it with pulp. So I have down here Rav Ben Chaim's psak. This is courtesy of Rabbi Moshe Aziz that clarified this. OJ with pulp. In theory, Rabbi Ben Chaim says the bracha should be ha'etz. It makes sense. You're taking the fruit, the entire fruit. You're not throwing out with the pulp. You're actually taking the fruit and just changing its form. But it's the same fruit. But Lamaaser, Rabbi Ben Chaim says shakol, aligning with the Chazon Ish himself, how he acted. In other words, when it comes to berachot, and this is something that I think we've been learning so far, there are like technical halachot we learn, And then there's also practically speaking. Very often, practically speaking, you just default to the shakol. Even though you might say technically it should be another bracha, we say shakol. So here I just wanted to have some fun. I wanted to show you this. I made a whole chart here. I don't know if there's anything relevant here. So this is what I wanted to point out. Wine is going to be a gefen. Olive oil is ha'etz. Any other fruit juice is going to be shakol. And orange juice in theory is ha'etz, but the maaseh in practice is going to be shakol. Okay, pomegranate juice is, what do you think is going to be? Shakol. The only other interesting thing here is coconut water. So if you're going to have coconut water, I had 3 of those things of coconut water today. I'm probably going to have 4 tomorrow. Coconut water. What's the bracha on coconut water? Shakol. But here's where it gets interesting. Let's say you're like biting into a coconut, soft coconut. What's the bracha? It's ha'etz. If as I'm biting into it, I'm like drinking the juice, you just say a ha'etz. You're eating the coconut. You don't say a ha'etz and a shakol. You didn't juice the coconut. You're eating the coconut, which has juice in it. So that's like one interesting thing, that coconut water alone will be shakol. Did I write it? The whole coconut, the water, and the meat eaten together is going to be ha'etz. The water is part of the intact fruit as consumed. Okay, very good.
Blending it up, so you're actually getting the
Pulverized fruit. You're taking a fruit and you're mashing it. Excellent segue, because that is exactly the next line of the Gemara. Okay, so that's very good. This case, what we just spoke about now, is juicing it, and that's why in orange juice, the Chazon Ish is saying maybe that's a little bit more than juicing it because it actually has some meat. But now, as Elliot is asking, let's talk about what if I'm taking my actual fruit and blending it, or pureeing it, or crushing it. Let's go. Next case. By the way, that's why I have like applesauce here and peanut butter here. Because what is peanut butter? It's crushed peanuts. It's just pulverized, it's blended peanuts. Let's see it. Here we go. Shishod. Here we go. Next case. Amar le hahu mirabanan le Rava. By the way, this is one of my favorite things, seeing how rabbis solve mysteries. Or using context clues. There's a situation here where the rabbi didn't know what was going on, so he just waited. And then with the context clues that came out, he started to figure out what's going on. You're going to see what happened. One time, one of the students came in Shiur, asked the Rava a question. They were sitting there, and the student asked the Rava the following question. Terima mahu. What's the bracha on terima? What is terima? We're not sure yet. I'll read to you the footnote. As we will see shortly, terima refers to a solid that has been somewhat crushed. Okay, as Elliot was getting us into, Elliot talked about fully blended. But terima, we're going to see it's somewhat crushed, but has not been completely mashed, according to Rashi. However, according to some, I believe this is the Rambam, according to some, completely mashed, some explain completely mashed to mean that it's become into a liquid, right? Some explain completely mashed to mean that the solid has been reduced to a point where it could no longer be classified as food, but rather as a liquid. So essentially, terima is going to be something, a fruit item or a food item that you crush. How finely do you crush it? Machloket. So let's hold on to that. But right now, it's like a crushed food item. Almost turns into a paste, turns into a sauce, applesauce. Let's see what happens. Terima mahu. Rava had no idea what he was asking. He comes to him, he didn't give details. He said, Rabbi, what's the bracha on trima? Trima, what is trima? I have no idea what trima is. So he didn't know. Yativ Ravina kamed Rava. So Ravina, who was also there, starts probing the student to ask him follow-up questions. And what did Ravina say? Amar lei. So he says, Deshum shameka amart. What trima are you talking about? Are you talking about sesame trima? Or the kurtameka amart? Are you talking about saffron trima, taking saffron and crushing it into a liquid? Or the furtsaneka amart? Or are you talking about crushing grape pits into something? I don't know. There's a type of drink that they would take grape pits and grind it, and then they would put that into something and it would add flavor to the water. It was called temet, Rashi tells us. So whatever it is, he said, which crushed item are you talking about? Are you talking about crushed sesame or crushed saffron or crushed grape pits? So when Ravina was asking these follow-up questions of which flavor, he was asking which flavor Trima are you talking about? So now Rava understood exactly what he's talking about. So in the meantime, Aske Rava ladate. So Rava understood what the question was. Amarle, so he said, Chashilta, you're asking me about something that's crushed. Vadai ka'amart. That's what your question is. Your question is about something that's crushed. Ve'ad kartan milta hadamar Ravaseh. And you just reminded me of halacha that Ravaseh taught. I know Ravaseh taught this law, and I forgot about it. Now that you asked this question about crushed items, I just remembered. Oh, Ravaseh wants to tell me this. What did he teach? Hai tamresha teruma. Someone takes dates and they crush the dates. This is like I've seen like a shmear, like date shmear. I don't know if you've ever seen this. Actually, it's a date spread, right? It's someone gave it to me for Mishloach Manot, like this past year. In there it was like a date spread, and you could take it, put it on bread.
There's also date honey, but this is the date sugar is less.
Yeah. It's less crushed. Exactly. Date honey is like something that you're extracting from. Okay. It's the actual flesh of the fruit. Okay. You're crushing the actual flesh of the fruit. You're not juicing it. You're actually the actual thing. Hi tamresha teruma. Mutar la'asot mehen terima. You are allowed to convert it into terima form. Ve'asur la'asot mehen sheichar. But you're not allowed to put it into beer form. Remember, we're talking about teruma. What did we say about teruma? We already said this a few times. You cannot destroy teruma, and if you destroy teruma by consuming it, you have to give the kohen 1.25. The kohen himself has restrictions. The kohen himself is not allowed to destroy the teruma. The kohen himself has to treat it with kedusha. So what Rav Aseh said is he's allowed to crush it to the terima situation. That's not considered destroying it. Taking your date, blotting it out, making a paste out of it, he's allowed to do. Okay? But he's not allowed to make beer out of it. How do you make date beer? I have no idea. You're probably taking it, soaking it, boiling it, distilling it, doing some processes, fermenting it, throwing yeast into the the fruit. So since it's teruma, it has to be treated like kodashim. It's holy. So the kohen is not allowed to make beer out of his teruma. Okay, kohen, your teruma, you're not allowed to make beer out of it. But you are allowed to crush it and make a paste out of it, make a spread out of it. This is talking about jam or jelly. How do you make strawberry jam or cherry jam? You just take the fruit, you boil. You could take bunch of blueberries, boil it
With sugar.
You add sugar to it, and you just made natural homemade jelly. Okay, so that is called terima. And are you allowed to do it with your teruma? You're allowed to make terima from your teruma. That's what we're saying here. So now, what he's saying is, if the kohen is allowed to make terima from his fruits, it's not considered destroying the fruits. So what bracha should it be? Should be ha'etz. Why? Because it's the actual fruit. If you'd be destroying it from the fruit status, I wouldn't allow you to do that to your teruma. But the fact that we allow the kohen to make trima out of his teruma, that means it's considered the fruit. V'hilchata tamre ve'avdin. Yes, very good. V'hilchata tamre ve'avdinhu terima. If you take this, it's a tongue twister. You get this? Teruma, tamre, which is tamarim, terima. Terima, truma, tamarim. This is the rabbis having fun. Okay, this is the rabbis. They could have picked any fruit item, but they picked the fruit item tamare, terima from teruma. The tamre v'avdinu teruma mevarchin alavayu borei pri ha'etz. The bracha is going to be ha'etz. My tama. Why? B'miltayu kaimekim nikara. Because they still remain in their original state. This is where we're going to spend some time now and talk about halacha l'maaseh. If you take a food item, crush it, mash it into a paste or a jelly, the halacha here is telling us that what? It's the same bracha. What is the bracha on mashed potatoes? How do you make mashed potatoes? You take potatoes and you mash them. You boil it, okay, and then you take a thing and you stomp it. You add some salt, pepper if you want. You add some butter, parv, whatever, and then you're taking a potato and you're mashing it. How do you make peanut butter? Anyone know how you make peanut butter?
Take peanuts and mash.
You take peanuts, you put them in a ninja blender, and that's it. How do you make hummus? How do you make hummus? You're Israeli. You take chickpeas, and that's it. You add some salt.
Doing grinding and mashing.
Okay. Is there a difference between grinding and mashing? What would you say is the difference between grinding and mashing?
Mashing, we still have a form.
Okay. There's two types of Skippy peanut butter. Chunky and creamy. Is there a difference between chunky peanut butter and creamy peanut butter? That's, I think, what you're saying, the difference between grinding and mashing, right? So I just brought it into peanut butter lingo. Grinding, mashing, chunky or creamy. What about applesauce? How do you make applesauce? I tell you how I make it. I buy it on Amazon. I've never made, I don't actually make it. But you could have, you see, I don't know if you guys appreciate what I did here. I told the prompt to give me like chunky. I want it to be, you see, like, it's chunky applesauce. This one is not. This one is, I don't know. So let's see the halachot. Ready? Again, I did some research and I got some notes from Rabbi Moshe from his Smichat Chaver program, and I put together a infograph using AI. Here we go. We're going to learn Shulchan Aruch together. I just have it on the screen here. Okay, so this is Shulchan Aruch. The bracha on crushed fruits and vegetables. I called it crushed, not ground, not pulverized, not minced. Called it crushed because that's clear. Let's see. Timarim sheme'achan biyad. Says Shulchan Aruch. If you take dates and you crush them with your hand, biyad, ve'asa mehem isa, turning them into a dough, a paste, a spread. You turn it into a spread. Ve'otzi mehem garinehem. And you took the pits out, right? So like you're making a smooth spread. Afilu achi lo nishtanit birchatan. Says Shulchan Aruch, the bracha does not change. Uvarech alehem boreh peri ha'etz. Says Shulchan Aruch, the bracha on date spread is boreh peri ha'etz. Ulesof bracha achat me'en shalosh. And the bracha afterwards is going to be ala etz vel peri ha'etz. A bracha me'en shalosh, because it's one of the shivat minim, assuming you had enough of a shiur. So
you're eating with a spoon.
Yeah, you're eating with a spoon for sure. If you're putting it on bread, it's going to be hamotzi. You have dates bread, you're scooping it. Actually, you just reminded me of something. There is this chocolate. You guys know what this chocolate thing was? It's like this date spread. Whatever. It's actually like you could just. It's like a Nutella made out of dates. Same concept. And people just take it and they just put it with a spoon. So the bracha should be ha'etz. Haga, look, Ashkenazi rabbi, very important, because he is going to say something different here. It's going to be similar but different. Okay, how do I get this to like? Haga is the Rama. Haga means an addition, so it's an addition. It's like a emendation. He's at or an addition. So here what he says: Haga ulefizeh hu adin belituin hanikra favdula. I was thinking he's saying like follow the sib here. And when I first read this, I go, follow that, but it's not follow that, it's favdula. It probably is favdula. No, not fava beans. We're talking about taking a fruit item and like crushing it. So it says, so he's talking about some food item that they have, like the same as us. If I were to say peanut butter or mashed potatoes, he's saying also the liturin is also very pure. And some say levarech alehem shakol. The Trumat Hadeshin says no, the bracha should be shakol. And once he says that, Tov lachush lechatchila levarech shakol, so says the Rama, it's better that you say shakol. Aval im birech borei pri ha'etz, but if you said borei pri ha'etz, yatsa, you fulfill your obligation, kiken nir'eh ikar, because that seems like it's the right halacha. So says the Rama, Shulchan Aruch says, crushed dates ha'etz. The Rama says ha'etz, but some say it's shakol, so it's better to say shakol, because shakol is more safe. And if someone says ha'etz, it's okay, because that's the proper halacha. Now, the question is, to what level can you grind it and it will still be ha'etz? So look at this. Shulchan Aruch is telling us you crushed it fully. Even if the food is crushed completely and unrecognizable retains its and unrecognizable kama, it retains its original bracha of ha'etz. This is the primary halachic position followed by Sfaradim. According to Shulchan Aruch, he does not qualify his statement. He says, if you take the dates and you crush them by hand and you make it into a smear, you take out the pits, no matter how much it is, the bracha is ha'etz. That's how Shulchan Aruch holds. That so that's going to mean for Sfaradim, we just follow that. But the Ramah says, I'm not sure. So because of that, once it's fully pureed and unrecognizable, the bracha becomes shakol, lechatchila. If one said the original bracha, he is yotzeh b'di'evet. So the Ramah, which the Ashkenazim will say, if it's fully pulverized that you cannot recognize it anymore, it's going to be shakol. Okay? So what? But the bracha on applesauce. When you look at applesauce, rarely do you see apple. The thing is fully pureed. So this might be a situation where there's a machloket between Sfaradim and Ashkenazim. Sfaradim, if it's just apple that's crushed, that's ha'etz. For Ashkenazim, it could be that they say it's not. There's one word in Shulchan Aruch that some want to say, maybe even Shulchan Aruch will agree that if it's fully pulverized, it's going to be shakol. There's one word that he says. What is it? One word here that he says. Timarim sheme'achan beyad, dates that he crushes by hand, the asam henisa, makes a paste out of it, it's going to be ha'etz. What's the word? Beyad, by hand. What does that sound like? If you use a ninja blender tool to pulverize and grind the thing, maybe even then Shulchan Aruch would say, no, now it's something else. It's just if you do it by hand, he's implying that there still have to be some sort of chunks. But Rav Ovadia Yosef says that's not the case. Shulchan Aruch, he says, if you turn it into a paste, you turn it into a complete paste, it becomes, it stays as ha'etz. But here's the difference though, to Elliot's point, if it turns into a drink, where it's not a food anymore, it's become a drink, everyone agrees it becomes a shakol. Everyone agrees it becomes a shakol. So if you blend it, and it's a little bit difficult, but there's a difference between a date spread and a smoothie. A smoothie is shakol. Yeah, you're adding water. But the thing is, it's a drink. Drinks are shakol. And once you turn it into a drink, it's going to become shakol. That's the same thing we said with orange juice. Remember what we said about orange juice? The thing about orange juice is that you're not even adding water. You're taking the thing and you're crushing it. That's all you're doing is crushing it. So according to Shulchan Aruch, it should be ha'etz. But once it turns into a drink, it becomes shakol. Okay, I'm going to show you a few more things. These are the three rules based on other halachot in Shulchan Aruch. Rule number one, if you take a fruit like a carrot and you dice it, slice it, visually textured produce, chop salad, it keeps the bracha. It's going to be ha'adama. No matter if you take a salad and you chop it, or you take a fruit and you chop it, it's the original bracha. Okay? If you grind it into a flour and it's not eaten that way, now it becomes shakol. If it doesn't have the taste. Why this is important is because of corn. When you buy your corn chips, corn is ha'adama, no? So why is corn chips shakol? The answer is because you take it, you grind it into a flour. That flour tastes nothing like corn. And then you bake it. When you crush it so much that it turns into a flour, now it becomes shakol. Same idea with the almond flour. We spoke about almond flour a few times. We're going to speak about it in a moment. Very good.
Pringles.
Pringles. Very good. Itai, you have some Pringles on you? That one, you know, also, go get it. Okay, he wanted to get it. Okay, the last thing is that there is a case here that's brought down that if it's crushed and that's how you eat it, so then that's going to be the bracha. So the example is spices. I think they put salt here. I don't like the image of salt. But think about, I don't know, let's say someone likes to take cinnamon or something. Let's say, I don't know what type of a spice would someone like throw into that, like cayenne pepper or something. Let's say someone does this. I'm actually starting to sweat right now. I said that I started sweating. Let's say it's a pepper, but like the way you eat it is crushed. So in that situation, it might actually retain its bracha even if it's fully ground because it's still in that fruit item, fruit form. Okay, let's talk about this. Applesauce, peanut butter, smooth mashed potatoes, blended soup. Sfaradim, tahina.
Anyway,
Wait. Let's use my examples first, then we use your examples. Okay, hold on. Let's talk about applesauce, peanut butter, mashed potatoes, and soup. So, according to Sfaradim, it keeps its original bracha. This is the primary halacha l'maaseh. Peanut butter. If you want to take a spoon of peanut butter, guess what bracha it should be? It should be ha'adama. Very interesting. I'll show you what Rabbi Ben Chaim says. Peanut butter. I love this. The childhood minhag in Yerushalayim was shakol. Rabbi Ben Chaim often in halachot says, this is what I would do ever since I was a child. So what he does says by schnitzel, shakol, bamba, shakol. This is what he says. He said, ever since I was a child, we would say shakol. Peanut butter, childhood minhag was shakol, but the correct din is ha'adama. I don't know what he actually does. Maybe he doesn't snack on peanut butter. I don't know. Yeah, but that's the point. The point is like practically speaking, he's saying the halacha Shulchan Aruch is hadama, but we say shakol. Why? I don't know why. It's a machloket. I don't know why. There's a lot of things that's like this. Okay, so if I were to scoop up a thing of peanut butter, what I would know is what we're learning is hadama. But in Yerushalayim, when Rabbi Ben Chaim was growing up, they would all say shakol. That's what he's saying is what his minhag is. So I would probably say shakol because I want to stay connected to my rabbi. That's probably what I would do. Yeah. Correct.
I think either way you do it, you're correct.
So you, no matter what, shakol is good. Shakol means Hashem created everything. Hadama is created the fruits of the ground. If I take a piece of chicken and I say Borei Pri Adama, I'm not good because I have not fulfilled that rabbinic obligation of saying a bracha on this food item because I'm saying it incorrect. It doesn't apply. But if you say shakol, it applies on everything. Even if I have bread, I say shakol. So now, because of that, when you're not sure, you go to shakol. But that doesn't mean it's a lazy man's way of saying, I don't know what bracha to say, so I'm going to say shakol. We're learning Masechah Berachot to learn what the right thing to say is. But there are times where there are different opinions. So here's a situation that according to Shulchan Aruch and Yalkut Yosef, these fruit items would be the original bracha. Applesauce is ha'etz, peanut butter is hadama, mashed potatoes is hadama. There are other Sephardi poskim that I'll say you should say shakol, which is what Rabbi Ben Chaim is saying, that Or L'Tzion, Rabbi Ben Zion of Shaul, Kaf HaChaim, Rav Pe'alim, this is the Ben Ish Chai, they all say shakol. The Ramah, as we said, it says it's even better to say shakol. So when you have the Sfaradim and Ashkenazim is a machloket, Sfaradim Shulchan Aruch would say da Adama. Ramah says shakol, but if you say the ha'etz bracha, it's good because that's probably correct. So that's that. These are the psak from Rav Ben Chaim. Yeah, so he's saying that it is ha'adam. It takes on crushed fruits and vegetables take on the original bracha. Ha'etz for applesauce or ha'adama for peanut butter. He's just saying for peanut butter, he knows that they would say shakol. Corn snacks. Since it's taking on a different form and it doesn't taste like corn, it's shakol. Because if I eat corn, it's ha'adama. However, popcorn, you're taking the grain and you're popping it, you're saying ha'adama on that. Pretty crazy. If you take the corn, grind it into flour, and make like corn tortillas out of it or corn chips, shakol. But if you're popping it from its ha'adama form, the actual kernel, it stays as ha'adama. That's called marketing. We're not talking about names of brands. We're talking about ingredients here. Popcorners is going to be shakol. They're not taking. What is it? The corn cakes. What are they doing? It could be that they're putting them in a thing and popping them. I don't know. I'm not sure. Cookies, they eat it on Pesach. L'maaseh, we say shakol across the board. This is what Ben Chaim says. When you ask all of these questions, this is shakol. You just say shakol. You say shakol. But it's good to be learned. Now, my last page is, okay.
You said it can depend on sugar content. If there's no sugar in it, it's going to be what?
So according to Sfaradim, if you take something and you crush it and it's just that and it tastes like that, it's going to be ha'etz.
Wait, but didn't we say Yeah, it was ground into flour.
And it's not normally eaten that way.
Yeah, like almonds, let's say it's made from almond flour.
Yeah.
Everyone agrees flour automatically that.
Once you turn it into flour and you're like cooking, baking, doing stuff with it, we say shakol.
Yeah, so why does that matter?
No, it doesn't. You didn't-
Where did I say sugar content?
It says it, even though by strictly it may depend on sugar content.
Yeah, meaning I don't know.
But it's not relevant to this.
What's a Pesach nut cookie? Because it could be that I don't know how you're making it. If you're making it where what's a Pesach nut cookie?
Let's say nun bother me, but
Nun bother me.
because today you say it's up there, you said if it's round and it's
Yeah, right over there. I said if it's made into flour, it's gonna be shakol, and over here I'm saying it depends on sugar. All right, look, don't read into too much into it. This is AI spinning something out. Okay, I mean you're right, but okay, here we go. Quick decision flow. Quick. If you're ever in a quick need, you could come and you could ask me. I'll send it to you. Is the fruit still visibly recognizable? Then yes, it keeps the original bracha. All agree, even Ashkenazim. So if you have a chunky peanut butter with actual peanut chunks, that's going to be ha'adama, chunky. No, let's say it's not, the fruit is not visibly recognizable. So then the question is it normally eaten that way? Applesauce. Is it normal to eat applesauce? The answer is yes. So then yes, you keep the original bracha. Or sorry, better example is potato, mashed potato. Everyone eats mashed potatoes. Ashkenazim, Sfaradim, we both eat mashed potatoes. Having a potato and crushing it, even Ashkenazim, for the most part, will say ha'adama. But if it's not recognizable, and sometimes it's eaten whole, okay, I'm honestly this decision flowchart is complicating. I actually am going to just stop here. But yeah. Okay, look, this is the problem of AI that like you're giving your control up to something else and then pretending like pretending like I made it. All right, let's just do a quick thing here. These should all be correct. Homemade applesauce. I have, by the way, Nick, I have tahina here. So when you come back, we'll say tahina. Homemade applesauce, ha'etz. Why? Because it's homemade. You're not pulverizing it fully. It's got to be chunky. Everyone agrees.
Sorry, so like strawberry jam is.
This is like a Congress speech or something? Or is it, yeah, okay. They keep giving a standing ovation. State of the Union. Ha'etz. I have here all for all, then S for Sfaradim, A for Ashkenazim. Homemade applesauce or homemade jam is going to be ha'etz. Popcorn is going to be ha'adama. Even everyone agrees that you're taking the actual kernel and popping it. Sorry, you asked a question? Sorry.
Strawberry jam would be ha'adama.
Strawberry jam, if you're going to you're making it at home, and you're taking a strawberry and you're crushing it, you're softening it up by boiling it. Even you're adding some sugar, but there's strawberry. If you scoop it with a spoon, it's going to be ha'adama. It's going to be ha'adama. Amazing. Usually, I have this on like bread with peanut butter. So I skip the hadama on this, I skip the hadama on that, and I just say hamotzi. But if you're going to have it by itself, like a scoop, it would be hadama. Very good. Peanut butter. So this, S say hadama, A say shakol. Sfaradim say hadama, Ashkenazim say shakol. Yakut Yosef, hadama if mostly peanuts eaten alone. Rabben Chaim, correct din is hadama. Od Yerushalmi minhag is to say shakol, following maybe the Ben Ish Chai. So that's that. Peanut butter, we're saying is ha'adama, but Rabban Chaim says shakol, so we are going to say shakol, but you see the different opinions. Mashed potatoes, a state of the union. They must be giving everyone a medal or something. Every second is yeah. Oh, they're having meat. Oh, let's go to the seal, guys. Time out. We have to go see this. Okay. Hopefully they have some leftovers. Mashed potatoes, chunky. Everyone agrees is ha'adama. If it's chunky, because even the Ashkenazim will say you'll see the fruit. If it's smooth, it's a machloket. This is what it is. There's different opinions. Sfaradim, for the most part, will say, oh, look at that. Ben Ish Chai is going to say if it's smooth mashed potatoes, it's shakol. That's the Ben Ish Chai. Yakut Yosef, Shulchan Aruch, will say it's ha'adama. Ashkenazim will say ha'adama, since it's clearly potato. This is what I was saying. So even Ashkenazim, on mashed potatoes, we'll say adama, and Or Letzion say it's actually shakol. Whatever. There's different opinions. I think for the most part, Sfaradim just say I think we say on mashed potatoes. I think everyone says adama. It's Rabban Tzyon Avashal. Even Ashkenazim, if I understand correctly, Mashed potatoes, everyone says hadama because it's very recognizable that it's potatoes and that's normal. Oh, what about if it's instant? You ever seen this? The powder? They like take a powder and you mix it with water. So also, it's gonna be the same thing. It's gonna be hadama. Cool. Potato kugel. I know potato is treated differently. For some reason, what they do with potato, everyone says hadama. I guess it's more common to have mashed potatoes than it is to have like almond cookies. Like it's just what people do with potatoes is they either eat it or they mash it. Whereas almond, you're usually not mashing that into a flour. So it's just a matter of like what kind. But like you see, a lot of opinions say the Berish Chai says it's shakol. Other opinions, Mishnah Berurah is gonna no Mishnah Berurah says hadama. Others will say shakol. So you understand that it's not so clear. I don't really want to go into all of this. I'm just gonna say tahina. Why is tahina? Everyone agreed tahina is shakol. If you ever take some tahini like this, it's gonna be shakol. Why? Because they add so much to it. I think it's it's a paste, but then you're adding lemon juice, you're adding garlic, you're adding flavor, you're adding this, you're adding that, you're adding a lot to it. Hummus, like I said, if you're taking chickpeas and you taste the chickpeas, it's gonna be hadama. But if it has other flavors, you can't taste the chickpeas, it's not chickpea anymore, it's gonna be shakol. Ashkenazim always say shakol. If you're gonna scoop on hummus, it's a machloket. In theory, Sfaradim should say Adama, but in practice, I think many will say Shakol.
Date spread, same idea.
It's the same concept as date spread, exactly. All right. Almond, walnut, coconut, Pesach cookies, Shakol. Ha'ez, if the nuts are the primary ingredient with little sugar. Shakol, if a lot of sugar, according to Halacha Berurah. Yakut Yosef says Shakol always. Rabbi Ben Chaim says Shakol always. Okay, so this is, I'll just leave you with this for Nikki. Nick, remember how it said depends on sugar content? That's according to Halacha Berurah, which is Rav David Yosef, who is the Rishon LeZion right now. He says that if the majority is the nuts, the primary is going to be the ha'etz. But Yakut Yosef, his brother, Rav Yitzchak Yosef, says it's always shakol. Rabbi Ben Chaim says always shakol. What did their fathers say? I don't know. No one gave him a walnut cookie. Okay, very good. Let's learn a little bit more. Okay, so I know we're doing a little bit, we're doing a lot of halacha. I want to do one more section of Gemara to make sure we're covering ground. But Lamaaseh, you guys know what to do. Just say shakol. When in doubt, say shakol. That's definitely not the right thing to do. But you're learning in practice. Mashed potatoes is going to be hadama. Let's go. Shatita. Next food item. We spoke about tonight fruit juice. We spoke about terima. Now we're going to talk about shatita. What is shatita? Shatita, footnote number 21. Shatita is a dish made from flour of kernels that were toasted while moist. Such flour remains sweet. How do you make flour? You take wheat, dry it out, then grind it. What they did here was they toasted the wheat kernels while it was still moist, and then turned that into flour. And by doing it that way, it's sweet flour.
It gets brown.
It gets brown, sure. It has a very sweet flavor. What? I have no idea what you're saying, but yes, exactly. This is exactly what it is. It has that effect that makes it sweet. It makes that effect makes it sweet. So there you go. I have no idea what you're saying. This is the thing with Rabbi. I had no idea what he's saying. Someone ask him questions for me to figure out what you're saying. A mallard? Mallard is a bird? Is a duck?
Mallard. They say.
Is that English or Farsi?
Brown butter cookies.
No.
My wife does this. She puts butter. She cooks the butter.
Okay.
And then it becomes brown. And there's like this.
Oh.
She said it becomes like a caramelly sweet.
Oh, the caramelized. Oh.
Yes,
Okay,
I
okay.
want this onion,
Yeah,
sweet.
okay, very good. So you're like making, okay, there you go. I figured out what you meant
It's
by
not
3
adding
months.
sugar to
You
it.
just had to ask some questions. Very good. So this is, it's like a caramelized wheat flour. There you go. That's what we're going to call shatita, our caramelized wheat flour. Maillard effect. Okay, let's go. Let's keep going. Rav Amar. So Rav says in this food item that you're again footnote 21. It's a dish made of this flour mixed with water, oil, and salt. A pinch of kosher, a pink Himalayan salt. You take this Maillard effect caramelized flour, mix it with water and oil, add some salt to it, and then they drink it as a shot. Why? It's supposed to help with something healthy. It like I believe like it helps with your stomach. But something like this is gonna do something to your stomach, right? So this helps with your stomach. What's the bracha? Rav Amar Shakol Ni'abidvaro, Ushmuel Amar Mizborei Minei Mizonot. Rav says the bracha is going to be Shakol. Why does Rav say Shakol? Because it's a drink. Shmuel says Borei Minei Mizonot. Why does Shmuel say Mizonot? Tell me the line.
Because if there's any
Very good.
mezonot,
I want to hear the line in Hebrew.
אם יש שחיטה בזה,
Very good.
אז גורם מיני מזונות.
That definitely wasn't as a. It wasn't like they weren't Israeli, but yeah, exactly. Call me שיש בו מחמשת המינים מברכין עליו בוראים מן המזונות, okay? כל שיש בו מחמשת המינים מברכין עליו בוראים מן המזונות. כל שיש בו and כל שהוא. Since it has within it wheat flour, it's going to be mizonot. That's the machloket. So Amar Rav Chasta says, V'lo pligi. They are not disagreeing. Ha be'ava, ha beraka. When Shmuel says that it's mizonot, it's very thick. It's almost like a pudding, like a smoothie, but thick. Like it's almost like a pudding you're having. Like anyone ever take the psyllium husk and you mix it and it like turns into like a concrete? It's like almost like a thick thing. So then it's going to be borim min mizonot. But if it's raka, if it's thin, that's what Rava was talking about. Well, that's what Rav was talking about when he said it's going to be shakol. Aval achila avdile. When it's thick, it's like chewing. It's like made for eating. Raka l'refuah ka'avdile. It becomes a refuah. It becomes therapeutic. It's like drinking. So Elliot, you're exactly correct. That's the machloket, and it's not really a machloket. They're talking about two types of shatita. They take this shatita, which is this caramelized flour, mix it with oil and water and some salt, and you stir it. Depending on how thick the texture is, if it's more thick, it would be mizonot. If it's more liquidy, that becomes what you would have as a medicine. It would be shakol ni'abidvaro as a medicine. But the Gemara is going to challenge the fact that you were talking about a medicine. Mativ Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef argues, "V'shavin shebochashin et hashatut b'Shabbat." Everyone agrees that you're allowed to stir this drink, this shatut, which is shatita, on Shabbat. You're allowed to stir it by hand. V'shotin zitom hamitzri. You're also allowed to drink this zitom hamitzri. This zitom hamitzri is like Metamucil. It's a laxative. Footnote 25. Egyptian zitom is a laxative made from barley or wheat, saffron, and salt. The Braita teaches that this does not fall under the category of taking medicine, which is forbidden on Shabbat, since zitom is also drunk as an ordinary beverage. So let's talk about this. On Shabbat, we are not allowed to take medicine. If it's life-threatening, you're allowed to do anything. You're allowed to start a fire, cook, if it's life-threatening. If it's not life-threatening, and you're able to continue functioning, we are not allowed to take medicine on Shabbat. It's a gezerah of refuah. Why? Footnote 26. The rabbis banned taking of non-essential medicines on Shabbat so that people do not come to perform the malacha of tochen, grinding, in preparing medicinal compounds. When you take a Tylenol tablet, that tablet is a powder that's been pressed together. The way they used to have it in the times of Talmud, they would have like a huge block of Tylenol tablet. And what would you do? You would have to shave some off, and then you would consume it. that shaving process is called tochen. You're grinding. So here's what we said. What the Chachamim said, you are not allowed to take Tylenol on Shabbat, even if you had ground it before. Why? Because if I let you take Tylenol now, the next week when you have a headache, you're going to take Tylenol and then you're going to grind it. So since the way they would take medicine is by grinding it, or they would take the spices and or whatever, they would grind it. Since there was grinding involved in the process, the rabbi said, don't take medicine at all. But if there was tsar, if there's a lot of pain, they were allowed to. Because it's a gezerah. The rabbis felt, if there's a lot of pain. So practically speaking nowadays, if you have a small nagging headache, you shouldn't take medicine on Shabbat. If you have a migraine, you're allowed to. If it's to the point where you can't function, you have to lie down, your head is pounding, you're allowed to take medicine. There have been times that I've taken medicine because I really can't keep my head up. I have to lie down. But if you're able to just push it through, and maybe you just you feel a little bit of pain, you splash your face with some water, and you could push through, you really should not take medicine on Shabbat because it's a gezerah. Now, relating that back to our discussion, if this shatita is a medicine, then I'm not allowed to drink this on Shabbat. If it's a medicine, it's refuah, I'm not allowed to drink it on Shatut. So what it tells us is bochashin et shatut, that on Shabbat they would allow you to stir it. It's not going to be a problem of making dough, even though it might become a little bit thick. You're allowed to stir a shatut on Shabbat. You're allowed to take this flour and mix it. But the Gemara is going to ask, but hold on a second. If you're going to tell me that this is all a refuah b'Shabbat mishari, how is that allowed on Shabbat? Follow the chain of logic. We had a machloket between Rav and Shmuel of what's the bracha.
And didn't you say people drink this anyway? Not just medicinal?
Yes, that was what the footnote said. Yes. Hold on a sec. Hold on. Sorry, I had something happened with the internet. I got kicked off. The people on the Zoom, can you still see me? Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Let me share screen one more time. There we go. This should work. This works. Okay, good. Sorry, Nick. Let me. It froze. Okay. Thank you for your patience. Let me just open this up again. Here. So we had a machloket about what's the bracha of shatita. Okay, this shatita is this flour-based food item. Rav says shakol, Shmuel says mizonot. Comes Rav Chassan and says, oh, they're not arguing. Sounds like they're arguing. Rav says, no, they're not arguing. Shmuel is talking about the solid form, mizonot. Rav is talking about the liquid form. And you know why it's shakol? Because now it becomes a medicine. It's not really a food item. Since it's not really a food item and it's a medicine, and it's a drink medicine, it becomes shakol. The Gemara is going to say, it's not a medicine. Don't tell me that it's shakol because it's a medicine. How do I know it's not a medicine? Because we allow you to stir it on Shabbat. And if you're stirring it on Shabbat, then it wouldn't be a medicine. The Gemara is going to answer what Nikki just said. Amar le Abaye, ve'alo tisbera. Do you think it's not a medicine? Ve'atanan. Sorry, ve'alo tisbera. And do you yourself not hold that you're allowed to do this shatita on Shabbat? You are. Ve'atanan. We learned in the Mishnah. Kol ha'ochalin. Ochel adam l'refuah v'Shabbat. If you're having a food item as your medicine, that's allowed. You're not allowed to take medicine as medicine, but you're allowed to have chicken soup on Shabbat. If someone has a cold, what do? They have soup. You can't forbid soup because I'm doing it because of my cold. You could forbid Dayquil, but you can't forbid soup. So, same with drinks. If a person wants to drink a food drink, that's a laxative. You know they have these teas that are like laxatives. That you take this and it gets your body moving. Oh, Shabbat, you're not allowed to drink it because it's laxative. What are you talking about? It's a drink. It's a tea. I'm allowed to have a drink. Why is it allowed? Because someone who sees you eating drinking a drink. if I see you drinking with a protein shake, am I saying, oh wow, this guy is deficient with this and he's getting vitamins? I just see the guy, this is his drink. I don't know what's in your bottle right now. I have no idea what you're drinking. So if someone is drinking shatita, they're stirring in a drink, it's a protein shake. It's the guy's making chocolate milk. I don't know what he's making. Or even if he's making this, that's his drink. So you don't have a problem of the having refuah on Shabbat because it's actually food, and you don't have a problem of someone seeing it and saying, "Oh, you're eating, you're having medicine." Why? Because they could just assume that you're eating it for hachanami gavar la'achilaka mechaven. Lishna acharina. There's another version. They just add an extra line. Elamai lechal meimar gavar la'achilaka mechaven urfa mimela kahavya. The person is eating, and the medicine is coming mimela. It happens unintentionally. It happens automatically. It happens tangentially. The example that I gave, if you're sick on Shabbat and then you say, oh, I have a sore throat. I have a sore throat. So what am I going to do? I'm going to have tea and honey. No, that's your medicine. You can't. No, it's food. Food and drinks are allowed, even if you have a medicinal idea in mind. You have in mind the eating and drinking, and the refuah is going to come also. You're going to have you're allowed to eat healthy food items to get your body strong on Shabbat. Utzricha derav. And now we're going to say, but hold on a second, let's just take this a step further. Shatita, we've now said that it's a food item. So when Rav comes, that's why I'm allowed to do it on Shabbat. So if it's a food item, why does Rav need to come tell me that you have to say a bracha of shakol on it? I don't need you to come tell me there's a bracha. I know that it's a bracha. I know it's a food. Meaning, two sides. Rav comes and says, oh, the bracha shakol. Why is he saying a shakol? Because he's saying, even though there's mizonot in there, it's not really mizonot, it's a medicine. So it's a medicine, then I wouldn't be able to have it on Shabbat. Well, no, because it's really a food. Okay, but it's really a food, then why am I saying shakol on it? So here's what he's going to say. Ustricha the Rav. When Rav teaches me that it's shakol, we still need that statement. Because if I would have only learned it from the Mishnah of Shabbat, I would have said you're allowed to take it on Shabbat because it looks like food. But your intention is came under the chatchila, the refuah mechaven, but you don't have in mind for this to be in food. You have in mind for this to be medicine. Lo livrach ilave klal. You might have thought don't make a bracha on it at all. Kamash malan. So Rav comes to teach us, since you are deriving benefit from it, you should make a bracha. This is what we're saying, and I know I'm running through it. It's okay. There is this drink that has flour in it. We have a principle. Anything that has mizonot in it, that has grains in it, should be mizonot. Rav is telling us it's shakol. Why? Because it's a medicine. It's not food. It's not food. It's a medicine. How come I'm allowed to have it on Shabbat? Because it's medicine in the form of food. So you're allowed to have it on Shabbat because it's not medicine enough for me to forbid you from having it. But at the end of the day, you don't have in mind to have food. You're not drinking this for food, you're drinking this for medicine. So you might have thought, I don't need to make a bracha on this.
It's like chicken soup, but people only have it when they're sick.
You need to, it's like chicken soup, but maybe people mostly have it when they're sick. You're going to have some crazy people that have, like, I don't know, what's tonic water? I don't know, or what, there's got to be some drinks that, like, is meant for, like, weird, what, I actually don't know, who drinks tonic water? Anyone drink tonic water?
Is it seltzer?
You mix it with something.
Like a vodka.
You have to mix it, it's a mix, but you don't drink it by yourself, no. I need to, no, nothing, never mind. You need to think about something that, like, is meant, like a ginger shot. Okay, let me show a ginger shot. You're taking a ginger shot whenever you have nasal issues or you have some sinus issues or something like that. And some people just have it all the time. They just like it. So someone like that, as long as, like, it is somewhat of a food, it's still going to need a bracha, but the bracha that it needs is downgraded to shakol because you're not having it because of this thing. It's a no. What a ha'etz? It's your caramelized flour. Oh, a ginger shot. So ginger would be hadama, but no. Drinks are shakol. Drinks are shakol. And I want to show you a tosfot. Elliot, you said it. You said it. I said it. We both said it. So we'll look at the tosfot for a second. Do I have it?
I don't remember the class on olive oil. You said it's,
No, Nick, you can't do this. You're gonna go back to something else. Hold on. Time out. 1 second. Ve'od, if you look, this is Tosfot. Ve'od mishum sheyesh po ilava acharina. Ve'od, the last ve'od, b'shtiya omer she'akol. Tosfot gives us this principle. When it comes to drinks, we say she'akol. We say she'akol in it, and that's the principle, that's the rule. This drink is a medicine. It has mizonot in it. When you have it in its thick form, it's like a sweet pudding. It's the sweet caramel. It sounds so good. It's like a sweet pudding. You would say mizonot on it. But once you've watered it down to the point that it becomes a drink, and you're only having it in this form as medicine, it's enough food that you're allowed to have it on Shabbat, but it's enough medicine that you would say bracha shakol on it. But it's not enough medicine that you don't say any bracha on it. Tylenol, if I take a Tylenol and I dry swallow, I don't make a bracha on it. That's not food. So this shatut is like this thing in the middle where it's somewhat food, somewhat medicine. You get it?
So then what texture it is like? If you're eating it as a food item, like this.
If it's like a food item and it's thick, it's going to be mizonot and it's a food. If it's thin, like a drink that is meant for a medicine, is going to be shakol, but it's going to be allowed on Shabbat because it's not considered medicine. Because it's food. So you have this thing in the middle. It's a food, but it's been watered down from its mizonot status. Okay? Good. You wanted to know about olive oil? The Gemara tells us the following, that there's only 2 drinks that the bracha on the juice is different. Or grapes and olive, meaning it's not shakol, it's going to be grapes, turns into hagefen, and there's olive oil. So the Gemara says, how come olive oil you don't say a special bracha on it? So the first thing the Gemara said, do you remember? The Gemara said, what do you want to say? You want to say Boreh Peri HaZayit? You can't say that because the name of the tree is also Zayit. So it's going to sound like you're talking about the olive. So the Gemara simply says, no, just to say Boreh Peri Et Zayit. Or Boreh Peri Et Zayit. So that you're talking about the tree. So then the Gemara takes care of the linguistic issue and basically says, how are you even drinking this thing? If you drink it straight up, it's damaging to you. So you shouldn't make a bracha at all. And if you mix it into something else, then you're going to say the bracha of that something else. So the Gemara says, no, I'm mixing it into beet juice, but I'm having a lot of it. Then I would say ha'etz. And we said nowadays, the idea of it being damaging to you, maybe we view it in a different way. So if you want to have a shot of olive oil, from the din of the Gemara, you would say ha'etz. But nowadays we say, we ha'etz. Yeah, so the Gemara eventually wanted it to say the difference, and it said exactly that. It said the difference is both of them, there could be a situation where you're going to eat it. Olive oil, you could eat it as part of anigron, and you would say ha'etz. Why don't you say an elevated bracha the way you do for wine? Because it's not satiating, whereas wine satiates. But then it says, okay, what about hamotzi? And then it compares the wine, hamotzi, and grapes and olives to like find the common denominator. That both wine and bread are satiating. Olive oil is not. Okay, that was what we learned in the first step of this pair.
The 7 fruits of Israel.
The not bracha before. Bracha after Shivat HaMinim, get a special bracha after.
So how come olives got a special bracha?
They do not. Olives are ha'etz. Also ha'etz does not get a special bracha. The Gemara was going through if it should have a special bracha. It concluded it does not get a special bracha. No special bracha. The only special bracha is going to be for wine and bread. That's it. Okay. We learned 3 things tonight. Number 1, we learned about orange juice. We learned about juice. We learned about the date juice. Dusha de tamre, date honey. And what did we say? Shakol. And we basically conclude that any and all fruit juice is going to be shakol. There is some interesting debate about orange juice for the 2 reasons that number 1, you're taking the actual pulp with it also. And in addition to that, many of these trees are planted for that purpose. And so the Chazon Ish would argue that you really should say ha'etz. Rabbi Chaim says in theory it's right, but practically we don't do that. Shakol. So all juices is going to be shakol.
That's syrups, like date syrup or maple syrup.
If you're having a syrup and you're drinking it, it's going to be shackle. All liquids are going to be shackle. Date syrup is actually the exact case of our Mishnah. Dusha de Tamre. It's going to be shackle. Okay? The next case we talked about was, remember the word? What was the word?
Is you release the splash out.
Terima.
If it's
Terima. Terima. Rava, if you don't know what that is, don't worry. Rava also didn't know what that was until he figured it out. It's talking about crushed fruits into a paste. The bracha is borei priya etz. He says it's ha'etz, and he says that if it's teruma, you're allowed to take your dates and crush it into a paste, into a spread. So it's not destroying it; it's taking on the same status. Now, how far does it go? According to Sfaradim, it goes as long as it's not a drink. If it's a drink, it becomes shakol. As long as it's not a drink, it's going to take on that original bracha v'ha'etz or adama. The Ashkenazim are strict like Rashi, where they say as long as there's chunks and it's still recognizable. But once it's not recognizable anymore, if it's pulverized and you don't see chunks anymore, it becomes shakol. So that's where applesauce might be a machloket. For some reason, I think mashed potatoes, everyone says hadama, but you see, even that's a machloket. If you're going to have mashed avocado, what's your bracha? Ha'etz. Guacamole is ha'etz. It's a guacamole that's crushed. Mashed bananas, mashed sweet potato, any type of mashed thing that you're giving to your baby. If you want to take a thing for yourself, the original bracha is the bracha item. If you're doing it that it turns into a flour, hold your questions. If you're turning that it turns into a flour, then it becomes shakol. Okay, this is what we're saying. With the exception of mashed potatoes, just that thing is going to be hadama no matter what. Peanut butter, technically hadama, but we say Rabban Chaim says shakol. Anything that's corn flour that turns into a flour that's afterwards reformed, it's all shakol. Even though it's the original thing, once it's crushed into that flour state, it becomes shakol. The third thing that we spoke about, shatita. What is shatita? It's like this caramelized protein shake that's thick. And what we're saying is that if it's a food texture, it's mizonot. If it's a drink texture, since it's really used for medicinal purposes, but it's still food, it's going to be shakol. Okay?
Whether it's thick or a drink. If it's like pudding, it's still shakol.
No. If it's thick, it's mizonot. If it's become so liquidy, then that's what you use for the medicine. You're not eating it as a food, but you're having it as a medicine. You're taking a shot, for example, then it's going to be shakol. Okay, and that's the case of shatita. We learned three things tonight. We learned dusha de tamre, the honey juice, ze'ah be'almahu. We learned the terima, the crushed fruits, and we learned the shatita. Be'ezras Hashem, next week we're going to learn. Now we're going to start talking about hamotzi, God willing, the Berachot of hamotzi, and all of the moving on to the next Berachot of our Mishnah. Okay, Hazak Baruch.
Baruch.